I remember one day I was very depressed, very. And I wouldn't even get out of bed, and that's how bad it was. I didn't do anything, I didn't wash, I didn't, So John went to the doctor, and the doctor sent what do you call it? Is it a social worker or something like that? And she was here for about 6-8 weeks, talking about this and talking about that. So she says, have you ever thought about getting a dog? I says, a dog? I says, I've never had a dog in my life. And I kept saying to John, what do you think? What do you think about a dog? Nah. So anyway, me and Scott went to wherever it was. Oh, and this little dog run up to me. So it was a little Springer Spaniel, and it was in my, I loved it. And when we first got it, cried and cried, and we didn't know what to do because we had never had a dog before. I was out with Max, and it was a lovely day, but the park had a watering hole, as I call it, and I always tried to keep him away from this because he dives in it. So I let him off, and I couldn't catch him, I couldn't get him. So I had to ask this man to catch him for me. So I got the lid on him, and he seen this dog. Well, he just bolted, and I went down on my knees and flat on my face. So you can imagine the language was blue all the way home. So we took him right into the shower. I stripped off. We're both in the shower. And John walked in, he says, what in the name of God's going on? It was the best thing that happened to me, because I got out of bed, washed, just the things you're supposed to do. And but Max, I mean, he died before his time. He was only, 6, 7, and that's no really that, what do you call it? And it's a year since I think, and I still miss him so much, really do.
Some people think that having dementia is all negative, but in my experience it's not all negative. Do you know, sometimes I'll go out into town not realising that I've put this t-shirt on inside out. I mean, it happens quite a lot, but I don't need people pointing it out to me.
Yes.
Once I realise, I look in the shop window and realise, oh God, I've got my t-shirt inside out. What I really need is someone to take me for a coffee in somewhere where I can use their loo and put things right, turn it in the right way. What you don't have to do to get a coffee out of someone, it's like getting blood out of a stone, But it works every time, so I'll keep doing it. I had the most fun when I helped a project called Mr. Alzheimer's Goes to School, and the fun the children had. I designed this Mr. Alzheimer's, and as you see, he's got a smiley face and a sad face, and we help the children to understand a bit about dementia, and they would take Mr. Alzheimer's home with them, and they would take him to all sorts of places. They'd take him to the mosque. One girl took him swimming and he got soaking wet. The families that Mr. Alzheimer's went into were quite nervous about talking about dementia, but when the children were really so keen, it all fell into place. It was a fun experience for everyone.
I remember not long before I was diagnosed that I went out with a district nurse student, I should say. She'd never been on the district before, especially on the evenings with us. And I was driving, obviously I was driving. We all of a sudden I said to her, "Where the fuck are we?" And she went, I don't know, she said. I said, "No, and I don't know either." I said, "I only had to go over the junction to the patient's house and I must have drove off and I didn't even know where I was going."
I noticed this fella had a gun to these two Jewish guys who were talking. And I said to my colleague, I said, "Have you seen what he's got there?" He said, "He's got a gun." He said, "He's pointing at him." So no sooner had I said that, and I went over and I went, "Hey, what are you doing with that gun? Now go." And he sort of like, and he ran. And when I told my husband and my daughter, and they went, "You mad, you? You mad? Why did he go up?" I said, "Because they were old people. They were old people and they were frightened." And I wasn't frightened of him. One night while I was in work, the boss, or one of the bosses, she said to me, "Lesley, you've told me that 3 times." And I threw a book at her. And she said, I said to her, "I haven't even told you once yet." She said, "Yes, you have." So she said, "Just go away." But I'd already thrown the book anyway. So anyway, I got up and I said, "Well, I think I'll be going home." Anyway, when the following day I rung her and said, "I'm sorry about that, but I just don't know what happened." It was like a big red flare blew into me, you know, and it was like a rocket going off. But I felt a bit guilty after, and I went to the GP, and I had a good rapport with the GP because I have other conditions, and I'm not there every day, but I was there at least twice a year or something. And I said, "I think I'm losing my marbles."
After about half an hour, we got back to where we should have been at the patient's house, and I said, "Oh, you're late tonight." Yeah, we've been driving home for half an hour and we got lost. I shouldn't have got lost because it was only in Eccles, and I'd been to that patient for about, well, I would have said at least 7 years, so I should have known my way there, but I didn't. I don't know what happened that day, but I got there. And it must have put that poor student off nursing forever, because I'm trying to find my way back, and she's saying, I don't think we come this way. And I don't think we come that way.
It's a good thing that when you asked where you were, she didn't reply, well, there's Blackpool Tower.
Yeah, that's right.
I was diagnosed with vascular dementia about 4 years ago, and I've always had a keen sense of humour, but since my diagnosis it's gone darker and darker. I was visiting members of my family in Ireland, and I was in the north, and I was travelling on a bus to visit family in another part of Ireland. And now I realise, because of my dementia, I forgot to get off the bus at the stop that I was supposed to. So as a result of that, I fell asleep, and the next thing I woke up, locked in the garage, locked on the bus, and I was frantic, and I thought I'm going to have to kick the door open, which I didn't. I managed to get the door open, and I was just, like I say, I was just locked in this garage. It was pitch black, it was the middle of winter, it was snowing, and I thought, what am I going to do now? I was in Manchester, and there was a big protest on by people living with dementia, and they had a chant, and the chant was, what do we want? We're not sure. When do we want it? Want what? So I went round looking at all the gates, and they were all locked, and it was surrounded by this sharp fencing, so there was no way I could just try and climb over. So I put this fencing against the, the ladders against the fencing, and I climbed up them, and it was rocking and shaking, and I thought, I'm going to fall off here, and I'm going to end up with a broken leg, trapped all night, covered in snow. So I eventually did get over, and the next thing, this police car pulls up next to me and asks me what I'm doing, where have I come from. So I explained that I'd got, forgot to get off the bus and ended up getting locked in there. And they searched me and everything, and they were going to arrest me, but eventually they did say to me, why were you trying to break in there? So I said I wasn't trying to break in, I said I was breaking out. And eventually, they saw the funny side of it, and they gave me a lift to where I could get a taxi from. Like I say, afterwards, you think about it, and it wasn't long afterwards that I'd got my diagnosis, and that was the reason that I didn't get off the bus. A while ago, I was at a meeting, and it was I was an international officer for a trade union, and during the course of this meeting, it was getting quite fractious, but I was absolutely bursting to go to the toilet. So what I did, I got up, walked out and went to the toilet, and I could hear all this shuffling behind me, and I looked round and everybody had got up from the seats and followed me out. Now, the thing with that was the chief executive was quoted in the newspaper the following day that it was a pity that somebody had took it upon themselves to lead this walkout because it left the meeting less than productive.
Dementia is incredibly hard to deal with.
But it's not all doom and gloom.
Dementia may be a part of us,
But it's not who we are.
When I was diagnosed with dementia, I couldn't swim. When I went on holiday this year, I swam 50 metres, which I think is the Olympic-sized pool.
I would say that the proudest thing in my life is my children and my grandchildren. You know, I'm incredibly proud of them. They've all done well. As a parent, there's nothing more I can ask of them.
My proudest moment has got to be when I received my honorary doctorate from Salford University.
A few years ago, John treated us all to a villa. It was the whole family, and it was the best holiday we ever had.